This is Faith and Fantasy with Kat Kensington. Here I get to talk about the random and seemingly unusual places I find spiritual truths and lessons for the soul, as I get to bring to life my favorite scripture, Moses 6:63, quote, "All things have their likeness, and all things are created and made to bear record of me, both things which are temporal and things which are spiritual, things which are in the heavens above and things which are on the earth, both things above and beneath, all things bear record of me," end quote. Hello, and welcome everyone. I hope you're as excited as I am to dive into this topic today. I will admit, this episode is not super directly about fantasy. I know. I went off and created a whole podcast called Faith and Fantasy, talked about how I love media and stories around fantasy, and now I have an episode about thermodynamics. That is correct. This episode is going to be about science, maybe in a different way than usual though. My question is, have you ever wondered if your actions could create literal spiritual energy? I sure think so. Let's go ahead and jump into it. According to Khan Academy's website, thermodynamics in biology refers to the study of energy transfers that occur in molecules or collections of molecules. There are three types of systems in thermodynamics: open, closed, and isolated. These systems define whether or not the energy and matter in the system can be exchanged with its surroundings. You, like all living things, are an open system, meaning that you exchange both matter and energy with your environment. For instance, you take in chemical energy in the form of food or do work on your surroundings in the form of moving, talking, walking, and breathing. All of the exchanges of energy that take place inside of you, such as your many metabolic reactions, and between you and your surroundings, can be described by the same laws of physics as energy exchanges between hot and cold objects or gas molecules or anything else you might find in a physics textbook, end quote. So let's go for the first two laws of thermodynamics, and then we'll delve into the spiritual applications. The first law is this: energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form or be transferred from one object to another. The second law is every energy transfer that takes place will increase the entropy of the universe and reduce the amount of usable energy available to do work. Now, I want to stop here and bear testimony that I believe in a God that uses science as his toolbox, a God who is an expert in math, physics, and any and every subject we can think of. Use these exact laws of science, made our universe, our world, and everything in it. And I'm not saying that in order to be a good saint or disciple that we need to be astrophysicists, but what I do want to say is that it shouldn't sound so crazy that maybe these laws can apply very literally to the commandments he's given us. So let's go back to the first law. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form or be transferred from one object to another. This can sound pretty abstract at first. Energy just exists in the universe, constantly around us and inside of us, and when we do anything from breathing and blinking to shooting a rocket into space, it uses energy. You may be asking, why should we care? It sounds like this is going on whether I'm aware of it or not. Correct, it does. But the reason why we should care is contained in the last part of this law. Specifically, it can only change form or be transferred from one object to another. So how are we changing the energy we're being given? Before we answer that, let me share this story with you about what led me into the science rabbit hole. Stay with me on this one, okay? I was watching my favorite TV show entitled The Magicians. There is a scene where the protagonists are attempting to cast a very powerful spell, and it becomes apparent to the group that it will need the efforts of as many magicians as possible to complete it. They send word to everyone they know around the world, as many covens as they can contact, and even those in other worlds they've traveled to all do the same spell at the same time. This scene showed everyone completing the ritual together across all spaces in unison, and I kid you not, in my head, I heard the impression, this is how fasting and prayer work. I realized this seemed strange, but I felt it, and it made me ponder the implications. A little later on, during a sacrament meeting, someone was talking about God being the maker of miracles, and the story she shared gave me another impression, specifically to look up the laws of thermodynamics. And as I Googled it in our pew at church, it all seemed to click for me. When God asks us to do something, he is asking us to transform the energy around us into an offering to him, which then he can turn into a miracle. We perform little tasks tasks like singing, prayer, fasting, and tithing, so that literal energy becomes transmuted into power he can then expound upon. The Bible dictionary illustrates this perfectly in its definition of prayer. Here's an excerpt from that definition. Prayer is the act by which the will of the Father and the will of the child are brought into correspondence with each other. The object of prayer is not to change the will of God, but to secure for ourselves and for others blessings that God is already willing to grant, but that are made conditional on our asking for them. Blessings require some work or effort on our part before we can obtain them. What he asks of us isn't just inherently about the physical thing that we're doing, but the energy we're giving to him. It's a transfer and a transformation. I want to go to the New Testament now to talk about one of my favorite stories regarding a miracle Jesus performed. Luke 17:11-14 says, "And it came to pass, as he went to Jerusalem, that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 men that were lepers, which stood afar off. And they lifted up their voices and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said unto them, Go shew yourselves unto the priests. And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed." He asked them first to perform an action, and in turn, all 10 of them were healed. This leads me now into the second law of thermodynamics, which is this: every energy transfer that takes place will increase the entropy of the universe and reduce the amount of usable energy available to do work. So what is entropy? According to a source online, this is how you might describe it. As one goes forward in time, the net entropy, or degree of disorder, of any isolated or closed system will always increase, or at least stay the same. Entropy is a measure of disorder and affects all aspects of our daily lives. You can think of it as nature's tax. Entropy naturally increases over time. Problems arise, your house gets messy, your garden gets weeds, and the heat from your coffee spreads out. Businesses fail, crimes and revolutions occur, and relationships end. In the long run, everything naturally decays, and disorder always increases. Here's the kicker: disorder is not a mistake. It is the default. Disorder happens naturally, while order takes energy. Left on its own, the universe tends towards chaos. Your house doesn't clean itself. It takes energy and effort to maintain order. Stars burn out, structures crumble, and ice melts." Unquote. This is actually what I tell my daughter every time she complains about me brushing her hair. Entropy is the natural state of this fallen world, and we have to make a conscious effort to combat it. That is where agency really kicks in. As we may have heard before, with great power comes great responsibility. But maybe another way to put that, in some even wiser words, Elder Kevin G. Brown said this: "Sometimes we might believe that agency means doing whatever we want, but the fact that the price was paid means agency is a sacred gift. We are agents, and agents are responsible for something. In this case, we are responsible for the choices we make based on the knowledge we have and the gifts we are given. We cannot make a choice without being responsible for the consequences. Why do we have agency? To choose good, to choose Christ, to choose eternal life again and again." End quote. Agency is choosing to fight entropy. How? By consecrating our energy to God to make something better and new. When we pay tithing, it is not merely money we give. It is the sacrifice of energy, of means to God to make miracles. He takes our tenth, our loaves and 2 fishes, and feeds thousands. Does this change how you approach prayer? It did for me. Now, when I go to pray, it's not just to say that I did or to keep a line of communication open, but truly it's to foster a powerful exchange of energy. I pour out my heart, my frustrations, my sadness, my hopes, my love, and my dreams. I couldn't help but think of the movie Monsters, Inc. while thinking about this as well. The monsters live in an economy powered by the fears or screams of children, but eventually they find that getting a child to laugh creates more energy than their infrastructure could even handle. I do not mean to say that we should never have sadness, anger, or fear. What I am saying is, what are we doing with it? Are you going to God while still hoarding these emotions within yourself, simmering in your own negative energy? Or are you pouring out your heart in hope that He will help you through the hard things and change that energy into something better? At risk of bringing up another children's movie, Inside Out shows this perfectly. At first, Joy kept trying to repress sadness and hold her in, and it only fostered destruction within Riley. But when Joy discovered that sadness always preceded connection and love from people around her, it built her up in new and beautiful ways. I still cannot watch the scene where she comes home from running away day and embraces her parents without bawling. Maybe you guys feel the same. Negative emotions don't need to stay that way. We don't have to let entropy destroy us. It does take active effort on a constant basis, but luckily we have the God of the universe to help us. He can grow who we are and amplify the good we can do. All we need to do is give him our energy. Going back to my thoughts on prayer and fasting, I want to mention a line from a song that I really think exemplifies this feeling. It's from a song titled More Than Able. The song says, "Can you imagine, with all the faith in this room, what the Lord can do? Can you imagine what he can do with you? Like the 10th leper Jesus healed, I want to be the one who comes back, falling at his feet and thanking him, because all of them may have been physically healed, but only the 10th was told, 'Arise, go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole.'" Becoming something new within Christ is more than just a saying, and it's not as intangible as we might think. We truly are a part of this universe, divinely created, and as a part of this fallen world, subject to entropy, we are also given the incredible gift of agency so we can become something more. What energy are you going to give the Lord today? Who are you going to become? Thank you so much for listening. I hope today's topic brought a little faith and fantasy into your day. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram for chats and sneak peeks on new episodes. I hope to see you next time, and until then, I hope you find God somewhere unusual today.